a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, fucking like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fan. We up in this thing. Shout out to the great Tank and the entire Who Dat Nation. We up in this thing. Shout out to the fam. Hope you guys are having a fantastic week as we get going, man. It's just what is it today? Hump Day? Man, I'll be forgetting sometime. Yes, it is. It's Hump Day. March the 1st is in the thing. Shout out to the Who Dat Nation, man. Appreciate y'all being in the stream. Much love to the great Saint Tank. We up in this thing. We're going to talk a little Saints of football today, family, about a little bit less than an hour, maybe right at an hour. We got Pelican post-game report live scoreboard coming up later tonight, followed by the recap of the Pelicans matchup against the Portland Trail Blazers. We got it going on, baby. Much love to the fam. Appreciate y'all being here. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and by all means, please feel free to share the show on your social media feed. It helps out the stream. Big ups to the fam. OG Jerry Paul is up in this thing. Shout out OG Kai the Great, Rainy, Dana, what's up, Queen? Popping, checking you out up in this thing. Kai the Great up in this thing. Randall, how you doing, brother? Appreciate you as well, sir. Much love. The Teflon Don is in the building. Appreciate you, brother. Eric Howard is doing this thing as well. Brother Tano is in this thing. Elite's in this thing. Shout out to you, Elite. Brother Reggie Harris is in this thing. Shout out to you. Much love to you. KB, what's up, Queen? What's popping with you? KT, what's up, my brother? Good to see KT. We got that we added in some of that stuff. We're going to be releasing it coming up soon, KT. It'll be this week, but we'll release segments of it broken down to the position groups. Me and KT did a live stream where we was just kind of filling in the family members on some of these draft prospects, man. It was a good game. That'll be coming up this week. Also, shout out to the rest of the fam up in this thing. Farouk, good to see you. Louisiana man, Pelicans, Nola. Brother Randall, I see you, fam. Much love to you. Who else we got? Westside Baptist Church is in this thing. Much love to you, fam. Appreciate you. 504 Co is in this thing. Much love, Colorado. Good to see you as well. Ties in this thing was popping. Brother Judas in this thing was popping. Big ups to the fam. Ant-Man, I see you, brother. And shout out to everybody, man, in the stream as we get going. Now, family, I was trying to secure the audio for the interview that Mickey Loomis did with with some of the locals, but I'm hearing that it's recorded. Probably it'll release sometimes, maybe tomorrow or after the fact. But we will cover the article. And remember, they were supposed to give you a press conference to kind of update you about some of the things, they being the New Orleans Saints organization. So we'll cover that. And they're hot and heavy, and I say hot and heavy pursuit of Derek Carr. And people is looking at this thing and saying they don't think Carr is a good quarterback. And listen, the only thing I can do is tell you the facts, and you weigh them as you like them. He's a multiple Pro Bowler with the Raiders, right? He's the best. He took all of their records down in their record books, and they had some good quarterbacks that were there over the years. This is an old franchise. He owns all their passing records. He's not much in terms of his overall winning record. Is 63-79 as a starter for the Raiders. But remember, a lot of similarities if you study Carr. Carr, there's pluses and positives and negatives about every player. If you want to pick them apart, you give me personally, I would rather the Saints go after someone else, but it's all about who you dealing with at the head coach level. You got a guy right here that wants this guy. Mickey Loomis is going to bend over backwards to go. We know the Saints want this dude. There ain't nobody out there want this guy more than the Saints do. And what he's doing is, and I'm going to play some of the information about some of these other insiders and what they're saying. We know what the Saints are trying to do. The Saints was trying to get him from them straight up. They ain't want him in free agency, but at the end of the day, they're going to bend over backwards to land this guy. Now, do I agree with that? Do I agree with that? It's an upgrade over Andy Dalton. They don't want Jameis Winston, so that's clear and obvious. So at some point, what do? They're going to bend this year. They're hell-bent on getting this guy in here. Now, he's not fully the answer. They have a lot of stuff they got to add to it to kind of help out. But there are pluses and minuses in this guy's game and what he does. Me personally, one of the pluses I'm going to concentrate on is the fact that he has a hell of a deep ball game. His statistics in terms of piling on passing yards. I mean, he had several years straight of 4,000 plus yards passing. That's a positive. Now, he got a lot of negatives. He's a gunslinger, which gets him in trouble at times. Underneath, he's not as accurate as the intermediate stuff. He's not as accurate as you want him to be. But when you're looking at it all, and I'm saying to myself, because I don't anticipate the Saints making the playoffs this upcoming season. That's hard for me to say. Been covering the Saints as long as I have. But as long as there's a void of leadership at the top of the team, it don't matter who the hell you set. You can take Joe Montana out of the grave. I know he ain't dead, but take him and resurrect him, dip him in the Lazarus pit and bring him and put him in front of your team. And they'll still lose because they need leadership at the top of the team. And this guy is not a leader. Talent is not all the issue with the Saints. They had plenty of talent last year. It's decision-making at the top that's hurting the Saints. And until they understand that, you'll consider to continue to struggle. So, it is what it is as far as that's concerned. So, I mean, a lot of people don't like Carr, and I get it, man. But at the end of the day, man, if I was making the damn decisions, Carr wouldn't be a guy in this thing, man. He wouldn't be, but it's who you dealing with. Anyway, shout out to the rest of the fam. Shout out. Appreciate y'all, man, for joining me. We're going to keep it rolling. Slim, shout out to you, brother. Good to see you, brother. Marley Mall is in this thing as well. Gundam, my brother Gundam in here representing. Much love to you as well. Yeah, I know it would be ironic if now what Carr is doing, and I'm going to play y'all some stuff. I got the insider Fowler, what he's saying. And this is really, none of this is like deep. We know that the Saints want him bad. What he's doing is he's using other teams. That's why he went into free agency in the first place. He wants another team as a leverage against the Saints to see if he can get a better deal. The Jets don't want to totally commit according to what the insider's saying because they're waiting to see what Aaron Rodgers is doing. The Jets want Aaron Rodgers. The Saints should want Aaron Rodgers. But for whatever reason, we fixated on Carr. Now, you can get Rodgers and, whatever and however, and if he's interested. But like we said, what's the lure to New Orleans? At one time, Tom Brady wanted to be here because of Coach Payton. What's the lure? The lure people in here because it's not just us that see Dennis Allen as the type of coach he is. There's other people that see it too. The players know. Come on, the players know. The coaches know. They know better than we do, and we don't have to know these guys personally to understand that they stink at their job. I mean, it is what it is, man. So. Anyway, shout out to the fam, man. Appreciate y'all being in the stream. Torrey Shepard Sr., what's up, my brother? Good to see you in the building. Appreciate brother Torrey as well. T. Disley says, Raider fans is 74. Let me tell you, the Raiders were holding Carr back, not the other way around. I hear you, bro. Thank you for dropping that game, bro, and I appreciate you being here. And we got quite a few Raider family members that follow the sports Coma and listen to the Coma. They Raiders guys, but we, like I said, if you're a smart follower of your team or supporter of your team, you're more than welcome to sit here and chop up game about football with us. I mean, it's the Great Saint think tank, but it's about smart people all around. Eddie the Dime, shout out to you. So like I was saying, but if and I mentioned the parallels, if you study and for real, get out of your bias against the guy or your non-bias, whatever. you look at Carr on this side, you look at Jameis on this side, and you study what they're doing. Both of those guys came from environments that was dysfunctional. You had Jameis Winston sitting up here having multiple offensive coordinators, in the year, then the next year he had another one 2 years later. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And that's what he had to deal with. Now imagine some of these players in an environment of stability like Drew Brees had for over a decade. You know, that means everything. If you can steady the floor of your franchise so people can develop and you don't have a endless smorgasbord buffet style conveyor belt of people just coming in and out of the organization because they stink. The Saints were fortunate to be able to build some good coaches. A lot of them left, by the way. But they were good enough to be able to at least keep that amount of consistency where players can have consistency in an environment to thrive. Just imagine if you have a family. You got people coming in and out of the family and they just all over the place. And you got total dysfunction and that family would be a wreck. I mean, they got to have a certain environment set where people can thrive and it's consistency. You know, things are consistent. Certain things are consistent and there has some flux in there, but that's the give and go. That's just nature. That's just the organic way of things happening. But you got to have a level of consistency to see growth. You know, you can't pull a plant up by its roots, plant it over here, and then a year later come and rip them up and put it. That don't make any sense. So it's a parallel. The same thing happened with Carr to a degree. So a lot of the similarities between the environments of where these guys came from, they were very similar, but it's what it is. But it's a shame on the Jameis Winston thing that you have these guys that Dennis Allen, who wants a second chance at coaching the Saints coming into this year, is not willing to give that to Jameis Winston. I think that's just awful. But then again, let him go, and eventually he will end up going. But anyway, we're gonna cover some of this stuff, man, and talk about it because I'm gonna play some stuff for y'all today. And get going. So with that being said, let me get going in this thing. Please feel free to hit that like button, man. Appreciate you guys for being in there as well. Yeah, we definitely need some stability, Gary. Yeah, we had some stability for years when you had Peyton at the helm. Now, if better decisions were made at the quarterback position, man, I promise you guys that things would be different here. You know, and one of the things is like in 2018 when the Saints would have drafted Lamar Jackson as opposed to trying to get him now. If they would have drafted him then, this whole thing would change. You still have Sean Payton here. He wouldn't have went anywhere. He wouldn't have left Lamar Jackson. But in the end, this stuff happens like this, and we're going through a period of stupid decision makings and you know, we've been saying it the whole time. This guy's not no winner. You don't know what he's doing. He don't. Anyway, let's get going, man, up in this thing. Let's move on to the share stream right here. What's up, Lo? Shout out to my brother Lo, man. Appreciate you. What's up, Lo? All right, Lo's in the building. Shout out B-Mac. What's up, baby? Shout out to my brother B-Mac in this thing as well. All right, Bruce Bro says, front of the house again. We caught in Watson and showing no support. Then let Andy stay on. Yeah. But the thing is, when you give guys a chance. Listen, bro, you got to give guys an opportunity. You got to give them a chance to see what they're going to do. Even if you think it is what it is. You got to give these guys an opportunity. And then when they stink, can they fix what they did? Do they have the intelligence, or do they know what they're doing? Can they look themselves in the mirror and say, I can fix this. I can do this. I need to do this. And then not only say that, but show you a plan on how they plan to implement that change. See, you can hear all the talking points because Dennis Allen will get up there every damn Sunday after a loss and say the same thing over and over again. I got to coach better. And well, actually, he'll say we. He'll say we, and don't use as many I's, but every week is the same. There is no change. It becomes talking points. And then at some point, you can't blame Dennis Allen for all of it. He kind of holds the bulk of it. But at the end of the day, where was the leadership in the Saints building? Where was Cam Jordan and the DeMario Davis and all these people that's making all this money? Where were they at? Where were the meetings at for the players? What the hell were they doing? So you see what I'm saying? So they can share the blame as far as I'm concerned. Okay, shout out to you, you. Thank you for that super chat. Appreciate you, fam. Much love. All right. Oh, shout out to Coach Rona and my dog, Big Low, man. Appreciate y'all. Mr. Don, I see you, fam. Appreciate you as well. JT, what's up, brother? Shout out. All right, so let's get this one. Come straight from one of my favorite resources, the Canal Street Chronicles. Here, Saints met with QB Derek Carr again at the NFL Combine. Also, they spoke about the Panthers and the Jets, and these are teams that's interested in them, but a lot of teams are not willing to go as far as the Saints are for Carr because they're desperate. They're desperate. Because Dennis Allen is holding on to understanding and knowing if he don't win this season, he is out of here, and he will get him a first-class ticket right when he gets fired to find Sean Payton in Denver, and Pete Carmichael will share the plane ticket with him. That's his fallback Katrina plan. He will end up, when he gets canned, he will take a flight right to Denver and crawl right up under Sean Payton to get a job, just like he did when the Raiders got rid of him over a decade ago. So, we're going to see. Saints met with QB Carr again at the Combine, and of course, this is some of the stuff that they were saying that with Ian Rappaport, that the Carr met with the Saints and Panthers yesterday. Sources says that David Tepper joining the meeting in Indy, and of course, they have other teams, and this was a good move by the agent for Derek Carr to get Carr there, where all of the ownership, the general managers, the coaches, the scouting staffs, they're all there. So that was a good thing to do. Now, a lot of teams are interested in Carr, just not at that price. They don't want to pay that price. And the Saints are probably going to be the only team that is willing to give him, a $35 million contract or whatever the dude is searching for. And they keep saying the fit is more important. The fit. But the teams that are looking at Carr at the money that he would command are teams that are not playoff teams. They're not. The Jets are just, if they get Carr, that don't mean the Jets are going to the playoffs. They are a good looking team. Don't get me wrong, good young team, but that don't guarantee a playoff, berth because you got Derek Carr there. I mean, he don't move the needle like that. Let's get that straight. He don't move the needle like that. He don't like if he comes in like a Lamar Jackson or even a Deshaun Watson. If you bring in guys like him, they do tend to move the needle. This guy's a little older. You have some miles on him, on that arm of his, but he's a decent option at the quarterback position based on what you're reaching at in the imagination of the so-called decision makers on the top of the organization. That's what I'm saying, So it'll be fun watching, and you can capture that fun the best way you can in watching the deep ball go from Carr to Chris Olave or to Rashid Shaheed, or some of our other speedy weapons that we have at the wide receiver position, because they hell-bent on getting this guy. Now, if he rebuffs them, that would be interesting. That would create a whole nother scenario which they go. But the Saints are hell-bent on landing this dude, man. They want this guy. They want him on the team. All right, so anyway, he met with the Panthers for the first time. A few members of their brass were there. David Tepper, who's the owner. Panthers seem to be in good position to select the QB in the upcoming draft. The Jets will meet with him on Wednesday, which was today they met with him again. So it will be a part of the meeting in Indianapolis. And basically it's, the fit, and he's talking about and all this kind of stuff. And it's the money, a lot of that's the money, and can he get that money, so it'll be interesting to see exactly how this all stuff would go. But the timeline, they speak about a timeline with Carr. Okay, Q, how long does it take for this to happen? Well, March the 15th is the date. So you have about roughly 2 weeks before Carr makes a decision on where he's going to go after talking to whatever teams. But it's still inside stuff telling you that the favorable position, the team to land his services are the Saints, and that's been the way for a while. Now listen to this, fam. This is from the insider right here. What's this guy? Fowler from ESPN. Listen to what he had to say when he appeared on this Jet Guy podcast. Listen to him. Put one in the chat.
And if you're Carr's camp, if you're Derek Carr, are the Jets your number one target? People have mentioned the Carolina Panthers and obviously the New Orleans Saints and the relationship there with Dennis Allen.
I don't know that for sure. What I know is that, I know that the meeting that he had with the Jets went really well. There's a good vibe there. I certainly think there's interest. What I know is that fit is really important to him. Winning is really important to him. And, I've even talked to some teams who wonder if Carr wants to go to the NFC just because it's a little bit of an easier path, less of a quarterback pantheon, so to speak. You don't have Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, Josh Allen, all those guys. Might be a path of least resistance to win. So that would bring Carolina into the mix because they have a talented roster, if they want to go that route. Saints, it's my understanding that they want to get something done with Derek Carr, that they're ready to do that. So he has options. It's just I get the sense that, he's just sort of waiting it out patiently so that second team can get heavily involved along with the Saints, and then you have more leverage. So it kind of helps him to wait a little bit in that way.
All right, so that's Fowler dropping the science on it, and really that's pretty much what we knew what he was doing, and that was said. So it's been pretty consistent in terms of him having that behavior from when he left the Raiders when they released him, and that was his move. Now, of course, he also indicated, he being the Carr, is that it'll be a process in which he'll take his time. Now, the timeline or the deadline on this stuff is March the 15th, which is to start a free agency. He wants to get it done before that. I think it'll get done before that because a lot of teams they might talk to him, but what they're not interested in is the money. They don't want to pay a guy like this, but north of $35 million. I mean, there's stuff on the street is saying that some of these teams are interested in paying him significantly less than that. So the Saints seem to be the only ones that have this elevated perspective on Carr to the point where they want to give him 35 or north of $35 million a season. And that's simply, could it be that's Dennis Allen straight up. And Dennis Allen tells, your guy, and your guy is going to move heaven and earth to make it happen. So, I mean, it is what it is as far as this Carr phenomenon, but it'll be interesting to see exactly where this heads off at eventually. But I do think that the Saints are hell bent on keeping this guy or bringing this guy in. Like they lost out on Deshaun Watson last year. The Saints want Carr, and they're probably going to end up with him. So anyway, let's move on, man, to the next story, and we're going to cover some stuff about Mickey Loomis at his takeaways from the scouting combine. We're going to do that as well, and it's covered by Saints News Network. Shout out to them, Bob Rose and brother Kyle T. Mosley and John Hendricks and the rest of those guys. Much love to those guys over there doing their thing. Mickey Loomis spoke with the local media, and I was trying to get some of the video for this footage. I was unsuccessful, but I should have something for you tomorrow on that, or at least share a link at the very least thing. But Mickey spoke with the local Saints media at the scouting combine to talk about the team and various topics. Or if anybody got this, share the link in the chat with me and I'll play it for you. But anyway, this is what they said. Indianapolis General Manager Loomis met with the local members of the media on Wednesday to talk about the state of the team and a wide range of topics. And the biggest takeaways from the combine in talking with him, he says, and he had a good meeting with Derek Carr, which is, that's just pretty much what it is. He says, quote, we had a good visit and he's going through his process and we're going through our process and we'll see what happens. Carr is very much in play for the Saints and he appears to be the top priority, and he is. That's what they're doing. To be plain and simple, is their top player, and quarterback remains the most important position to figure out. And there's nothing to figure out. Carr is the guy. Dennis Allen wants Carr. Mickey is going to do everything he can to land Carr for Dennis Allen. A point blank period. Anyway, draft philosophy on quarterbacks. Loomis said balancing the conversation with players like Carr, then evaluating the draft means you're just looking at everyone with the exception being if you were in the top of the draft. Now, this is what Mickey said. Mickey says, I got to get my Mickey together. Hold on now. Let me get this together now. When you're late in the draft, or even later rounds, there's nothing that prevents you from signing a free agent quarterback, and drafting one. Look, he says, oh, look here now. Look now. Yeah. Look, we're in the business of collecting good players and collecting quarterbacks. Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. And also I added that, it's just a normal process. The Saints have always spent a good amount of time, looking at quarterbacks. And even in the prime of Drew, we just end up, having a lot of opportunities to draft guys, and that we liked. At one point we had the pick available. You understand? Look at here. Now, Carr isn't a short-term solution for the Saints either. Loomis mentioned that Allen also agreed. Of course, he agreed. This is his plan, and this is Mickey again. Mickey says, "What you said this time, Mickey?" Well, let me tell you. I think we'll be lucky enough to get him. I think he's a long-term solution, really a long-term solution. Not a bridge, but a long-term solution. But as long as you have a draft pick and you hit on it right away, although you still got to resign him at some point. But hopefully we don't resign him until he's 38 and 39 and body, you know? Hopefully that's not the standard of quarterbacks to keep them here till they're 40 years old. I'm hoping that you learn from the last guy to draft a young quarterback and do that. Because anyway, Loomis was asked about the scenario and possibility of having a 3rd round grade on a quarterback. Hopefully I was wishing that somebody would ask him about the 3rd round pick that they added with Peyton, but I guess we're going to have to wait on that, baby. Let's see what he says. Loomis was asked about the scenario of a possibility of having a 3rd round grade on a quarterback and then possibly having to take them in the 2nd round to get their guy at the position. Hendon Hooker is not going to be there at no 3rd round. You know, he's not going to be there at 3. The reason why he's at 2 and not at 1 is because 2, the 2nd round, is he fell there because of his injury situation. If he hadn't got hurt last year, you talking about a guy, they're talking about Richardson right now. He's way more complete of a quarterback than Anthony Richardson. No disrespect to Anthony Richardson, by the way. I mean, he's a good young quarterback with a ton of potential. But he's still got a lot of stuff to his game to be added to. He got a lot of stuff on his game to be added to. And the reason why he's in the talk for a 2nd round pick, and I'm talking about Hendon Hooker out of Tennessee, is because of the injury that he had last year. The guy's terrific. You can't call him a one-hit wonder because he had multiple years of doing it. Smart, accurate, the guy is a good complete quarterback. Now, there's some things about his game he got to clean up. He holds on to the ball too damn much at times, but you can work with this guy. And he would definitely be a good guy to have as a future quarterback for the Saints. So let's see what Mickey says about that, and possibly having to take him in the 2nd round to get their guy at the position. He says, hold on now. Let me tell you something. I think with Jeff, our scouts do a good job of grading guys where you're available to take them. Let me finish up my words here. They consider that the factor and in the grade, but the team is looking to take away a guy. Might be graded 315 overall and take him in the top of the 2nd round. And I believe in quarterbacks, and particularly are overdrafted. So the evolution of how college offices run like a spread offense, it make it harder to evaluate, Draft class value. I feel initially, there's a lot of good receivers. There's a good group of tight ends. That's just my initial reaction. All right. Thank you, Mickey, for that. Both Mickey and Dennis Allen mentioned that it was still very early in the process, and Allen said that the team was starting to get the bulk of their work in here. Now, acquiring a 1st round pick, I wouldn't say it was important for us to necessarily have a 1st round pick this year. Really? Huh? I wonder if they know we read this stuff. I wouldn't say it was important to us to necessarily have a 1st round pick this year. Important thing was to get a 1st round pick and then something for Sean. It's nice to have one going in the draft and it'll be in the mix, but I wish it was number 12 instead of 29. Well, it could have been if you did. Maybe not this year, maybe last year. I mean, the upcoming year, we could have had another pick. And maybe if you put your foot down and stop trying to help Sean, he envisions getting a good player that can compete for playing time. The team will go through their mock process. They have 5 to 8 names. They believe even Cam Jordan knows Hendon Hooker's the guy. He said draft him. And the Saints have talked to him, and he should be on their board, and he should be on their board high. I don't know about depending how the boards shake out because people have different scouting departments, and different scouts see these people differently. They see them differently. They see this guy better than this guy here, and they got them all listed differently. Now, they do compare notes, but like I said, everybody has a different look at this player depending on whatever system that they're operating from on their team and how this player can be acclimated into their team or into their scheme or system or whatever they have going on. So he envisions getting a good player that can compete for playing time. The team will go through their mock process to 5 to 8 names that they will believe that'll be available, do more work on a particular group of things that they know that won't be available. And Loomis pointed out the team getting Ramczyk at number 32. Running back outlook. The Saints haven't drafted a ton of running backs over the past years because they hit on them in the undrafted ranks. Pierre Thomas, Corin Robinson, Chris Ivory, and the list goes on and on and on and on. The Saints hit at undrafted running backs all the time. All the time. Now, in particular, the last couple of years, let me get back to Mickey. Hold on. Let me get back in that thing. In particular, the last couple of years, we had some guys target, and they went, and then you're not dropping down too far. Just to, justifying taking that guy in the round. Loomis said that the Saints went, we went into last year, and before the intent of drafting a running back, the middle rounds made the most sense. But there was a running back there that was not worth the pick, or the player that was there in another position that was graded so much higher. And that's a team we're expected to get, and we drafted them. You see, So anyway, and there's certain if Alvin Kamara's case isn't necessarily a factor going forward. It isn't necessarily a factor going forward, really. A guy that occupies so much of your offense, what is the percentage on Alvin Kamara's contribution to the Saints offense? Great Saint tank. Let me give you a football algebra type question there. What is the percentage in your humble estimations? What is the percentage that Alvin Kamara represents for your New Orleans Saints? What is the percentage? Huh? We're not necessarily really, that's not necessarily a factor.
Huh? That's who you are. And when you find that out, huh?
So I'm saying at the end of the day is that definitely is a factor. What you got going on? Need I remind you about Alvin Kamara's investment in the grapefruit, or better yet, the grape industry? How he was attempting to create a new wine out of this human being. And he also must have had stock in bouncy houses or Evolution, because they were attempting to kind of take this guy and turn him into a bouncy house, according to the videos we've seen. So it ain't looking good for the home team if you miss the Alvin Kamara. Let me tell you something. So this is definitely a factor, but this is how they downplay everything. They got a history. These people downplay everything. They downplay everything, man. How it is everybody and his mamas know is that, yes, they're looking at a running back because right now Alvin Kamara is facing some problems. He got some legal problems that he's going to have coming up this upcoming year. We dodged it last year, but he's going to have some issues this year. He really is. And not only him with legal issues, but also our safety Marcus Mayday. He's going to have some issues as well. All right, so some of the family members saying, well, what y'all got here? 36% Gundam says, Randall says 69% without 75%. Eric says Q as off kilter as they are, I wouldn't be surprised if Mickey might kiss Sean's rear to try trade him to Denver. Okay. Pelicans Nola says 85%. Yeah, it's a very high percentage. I would say roughly, just to be conservative, I would say that he represents at least the Saints offensive playbook. At least 55 to 60% of it. He represents a lot of the Saints playbook. He really does. He's a key focal point of, when if they having success at getting Alvin Kamara involved, because he's a tough cover for the defense. He does so many different things. And when he's going, he's damn near, it's tough to stop that guy because you move him all. If you have the imagination to move him all over the field, he could play wide receiver for you if you need. He can play over here, he can play over there. He can block for you if you need him. He does a little bit of everything. So he's a weapon that gives them nightmares. So he represents a high degree of percentage of the Saints offense. So it is definitely a problem if that guy, AK-41, is going to miss at least 4 games, maybe 6 games, because this is serious. This is serious. That videotape is very damning, to say the least, about that, man. It's crazy, man. All right, so anyway, Dennis Allen said that the evaluation process is a little later after the season concluded, and Loomis talked about his first season as a team coach. The evaluation process, evaluating Dennis Allen. They had a process, whatever it was, it must have been a bull crap because he's still a coach. KT says, Q, be ready for Toink and the clown show to screw this draft. Tell Mickey I'll see him in Rouse. Hold on now, KT. I keep that thing on me now. Let me tell you something. Hold on now. All right, so anyway, this is what they say. Says, look, I think, and this is Mickey, when they asked him about this is some of the questions that is, what is this, March the 1st? The last press conference you got was when we did the end of the season press conference. It was supposed to be a couple weeks, and they would pop up here and talk to you about what was going on. They hired coaches, no press conferences. They traded Sean Payton, no press conferences. And then now the media has finally got a hold to them because they all up there in the NFL combine with all the owners and general managers and the scouting department. They're all there. So it's an opportunity for us to finally get them. But that's an NFL function. And so far as overall, the Saints didn't want to talk to your ass and answer any questions that you might have had about the trade of Sean Payton and the evaluation process of why some coaches got fired, why some coaches got let go and others weren't there. None of those questions were given the opportunity to be asked, And this is what he said about the evaluation of Dennis Allen. Whoever asked this question is good. That's why I need this video. He says, hold on, KT. Oh, hold on. Look now. I think we're really we're some really good things. Really. Things that were out of our control. Oh, they were out of your control. Really? Yeah, they were out of our control, Q, and his control and primarily the injuries. Oh yeah. You're not supposed to use injuries as an excuse until the off season when you use them as an excuse. It's funny how that works, isn't it, family? That they always sit up here at press conferences and say, hey, man, injuries can't be used as an excuse, but when the off season come, they can. That old weird double standard, that old weird double talking type stuff. Now, hold on now, Q. You can't, hold on now. I think there were some really good things. And there were some things that's out of our control. Oh, okay. His control. Dennis, speaking of Dennis, and primarily the injuries, those wicked injuries. They'll, you got to spray some, ant spray on them because they'll bite you on the backside and cause you, your stuff to fall down. Those injuries, they're troublesome. So, they were really good things. And some things we talked about that we collectively had to do better. But we don't have any reservations about our choice as a head coach. No reservations. This is Mickey Loomis talking here. That's why I need the video so I can hear him spew out this nonsense. He says, look, I think there were some really good things. There's things that were out of our control. Oh, yeah, really? And what's those things? And out of Dennis's control, primarily the injuries, but he don't tell you nothing else. So there were really some good things and some things we talked about that we collectively have to do better. And what are those things? But we don't have any reservations about our choice as a head coach. No reservations. None. Despite the fact that he alienated his quarterback, lied and backstabbed him. You don't have no reservations about a lying-ass head coach that backstabbed his starting quarterback that cost you $15 million this past year to do? No reservations at all, huh? How he lost the team and people weren't playing for him, how the team was despondent. None of that. Talking crazy. I mean, ill-prepared. No reservations at all. See, this is nonsense, man. This is bull, total nonsense. And see, this is showing you that they haven't learned not one damn thing about accountability. That one little paragraph I just read you from, that was a quote from Mickey Loomis, the reporters wrote down about things out of his control. That means that we're not responsible for what happens. If you park your car outside, we're not responsible for that. Look at that door. See that sign on the wall there? We're not responsible for your possessions. So if somebody crash and break your glass and go up in there and take something out your car, hey, listen, we know you in here watching a football game, but we're not responsible for your. You should put some steel on inside your car or something. I mean, at the end of the day, they showing you that there's no accountability. Still not. They have learned not one damn lesson about accountability. If you sit up here blaming injuries for why the Saints failed last year, when you got tape and you know damn well, and we know damn well, I watch every flipping moment of those games. And you could say injuries to a degree, but not all the losing and the stanky funkiness that we watched from the Saints past season you could attribute to injuries. It was bad decision making, non-leadership, stupid, backstabby ways by an ill-prepared, non-motivated, non-communicative type coach who is totally and simply over his head. He was a bad call at the position, and the Saints will make excuses for him until he fail again this season, and then they'll have no recourse but to fire him. And then, of course, they're going to get a little taste of it from an economic standpoint, too. See, no accountability. You're going to blame injuries when you know damn well you're not supposed to blame injuries for why you failed. You know, that's sad, man. Now, he talked about some other stuff here with the HSBCs and stuff like that when he talked about Jari Evans, which was some good game. But, you know, really what I wanted to get at you was some of this stuff right here. And I'm going to see if I can get the rest of this video sometimes, and we'll play it here and go over it. But once again, you know why you got a non-unaccountable coach. You got a non-unaccountable general manager that's blind as a bat. Anybody can look at Dennis Allen and know the pressure's on him. The Saints can't save him this year. They can't save him. Anyway, let's go to this one, and this is a tweet from Jeff Nowak. He's showing the NFL team report card today where the Saints, and this is the Saints grade that they gave out, a treatment of their families, B+. The nutrition is F-. Nutrition, weight room and everything else is given A's here and there, but they give the nutrition an F. Now, this is crazy. You know, the Saints, and we talk about injuries. Well, I mean, who's in charge of the nutrition? There isn't that an Oshner function? You know, being that they are the sponsor of it, they got their name on the side of the building. You know, so yeah, that's nutrition F. You know, so maybe that has something to do with them injuries, them pesky gremlin type injuries, Mickey, that you blaming why you failed last year. No, you failed because you didn't get up off your ass when you were supposed to, and make sure you stand over Dennis Allen's shoulder until you understood that he knew what he was doing. Nothing from his prior stints as a head coach should have given you the opportunity, the idea that he can handle the ship. Dennis Allen was over his head very fast during the season. He made bad calls late. He stuck with guys he shouldn't have stuck with. And it was just over and over again. He's just not a guy that adapts. He's a dinosaur, man. And those type of guys they're gonna take care of themselves. They're gonna ultimately fail themselves. But anyway, the report card nutrition F for the Saints. They got to get that together. That's really telling, man. Nutrition is F. That's crazy. Anyway, let's do a recap here, fam. Actually, I got one more thing I'm gonna show for y'all. I'm gonna play. This is from Kai Harley, man. And listen to Kai Harley. This is an interview by him as he gonna drop some game about his role with the New Orleans Saints. And usually every time I get an opportunity to play Kai Harley, because he's such an invisible figure in the Saints organization, we hear about Mickey Loomis all the time. And Kai really doesn't do a lot of interviews. So whenever he does one, I like to try to spotlight him so we can get to know him a little bit better than what we know him and hear his voice. Here's Kai Harley and his thought process on and his role with the New Orleans Saints and what he actually does here.
And introduces us to the man the black and gold call on when working out the math.
It's late February, and the NFL offseason is in full swing. And as the New Orleans Saints prep for free agency, they find themselves in familiar territory. Several $1 million over the salary cap. General manager Mickey Loomis knows his club has work to do.
We've got to catch up. We've got to manage this back to the middle. That's been our plan all along.
This is normally the...
You're going to manage it back to the middle. That's Mickey Loomis saying that, family. If y'all put yes or no, do you believe Mickey Loomis with his plan to manage the cap back to the middle after spending much of his time kicking the can down the road? Do you believe Mickey Loomis's commentary on managing the cap back to the middle? Y'all put yes or no in the chat. Taylor, thank you for hitting the subscribe button. Appreciate you.
The time the national eyes look at the Saints through a doomsday lens.
I think the Saints, even though they're in really bad shape cap-wise, should really try hard to figure out how to get Derek Carr.
And the Saints refuse to acknowledge it. They're $60 million over the cap. They're talking about signing Derek Carr. They need to accept where they are, sell off the pieces that they can, and start the rebuild.
But inside the building...
Okay, listen, and that was Nick Wright from whatever little Fox show you do in the morning. But this is the thing, right, about the rebuild questions. A lot of people say, Q, I'm so disgusted with what the Saints are. It's time for a rebuild. The plan was originally the Saints were operating on, it's almost like they have amnesia, or they are an incredibly forgetful person. I mean, it was like we knew, because I would talk about it on the show, that the grand plan for the Saints with Cam Jordan and Demario Davis and the window of contracts that they had with some of their most prolific players was supposed to be, a lot of the winning was supposed to, the chips were supposed to be pushed to the middle of the table for Cam and Demario Davis and guys like that for the next couple of years, because that's the window. And then they would the plan was never for the Saints to have what you would call a rebuild. What they would do is that would add younger talent underneath these prolific players like Cam and Demario and these guys like that, and then they'll kind of acclimate these guys in, and they'll just keep having them, and then they'll build it up as far as they can. But they're not going to totally have a rebuild where they implode and then they got to start all back to zero. That's what a rebuild is. It's like you starting from zero. You mean quarterback, all this stuff, coaches, all that. That's what what is a rebuild or a reboot or however you want to look at. The Saints are not going to do no rebuild. They're not going to do it. Well, then again, you know what? It could be because the way it happened is organically they weren't going to do, it wasn't in their plans to do that kind of way, but it might end up doing that. Come to think of it, because of how they entrusting the ship to the hands of Dennis Allen. Now, if Dennis Allen crashes the ships into the jagged edges, jagged rocks off the shoreline, and everybody goes into the drink, then they have no choice but to. But a lot of the coaches that won with Coach Payton over these many years are gone. A lot of them are gone. Some of the best ones on defense are gone. So when Dennis Allen crashes and burns, you will have a new slate of people, because the new man going to come in here. He ain't going to keep most of those guys. He's going to bring in his own guys. And this will be the first time in a while, because all Dennis Allen did was take Sean Payton's guys. And when Sean got a job, those guys, well, he got 8 former Saints coaches up there with him in Denver. And he'll have 2 more after this year by the name of Pete Carmichael and Dennis Allen. This is Kai Harley's philosophy on the team.
A few weeks before we got to execute that plan.
There's a calm about their situation. Every year, the outside world freaks out about their salary cap. Yet every year, the Saints manage to do what they need to do because of him.
Even though everybody else may be in a panic, we know what we're doing.
Meet Kai Harley. His official title, Team Vice President of Football Administration. For the Saints, he's the go-to guy when it comes to crunching the numbers of the salary cap. So when the team faces $55 million in cap overages like they did to open this offseason, Harley does not panic. He simply gets to work.
Certainly this is the time of year where things heat up and there's more things going on contractually, more negotiations going on contractually, and getting ready for free agency and to build the roster for the next season. The main crux of my job is managing the cap, is negotiating player contracts, and yet it's also somewhat like being a compliance officer where there's a rule for practically everything that we do.
And Harley knows them all, down to the last detail. And he can and will use every possible avenue to get the mission accomplished. From adding voidable years to deals to restructuring base salaries and bonuses, Harley is a master at making the math work.
Everybody looks at the salary cap in sort of this illusory sort of way, and yet I look at it as more of an accounting mechanism, right? So
yeah, Kai would be in a mob movie. He would be the guy that gets you some good books. Like, you know, where's this money coming from? This will never work in the real world. This would never work. This would never work in the real. Well, then again, it would if you was operating as a comptroller or a guy in control of the purse strings of the government, because that's how they operate. They spend, because it ain't their damn money. They're like, hey, we get more. We can just raise it up on them. We need to get it back. You know, we too big to fail. We gonna get this. You know, and we gonna make them. We gonna make mistakes and let them pay for it. So, I mean, it's interesting, man. But a good question would be, this reporter needs to ask is, what do you think you fit in the future of the team? And when are you going to be the new general manager? Because we need to get you in there ASAP.
My accounting background, like you have, GAAP principles that you use in accounting, and you have the CBA that guides, salary cap construction or contract construction.
Take the COVID offseason of 2021, when the Saints were staring at over $100 million in overages. Through a combination of extensions, restructures, and releases, Harley methodically whittled that number down while maintaining the core of the roster. But there's a method to his madness. It's not just about assigning a value to a player. There's a process he abides by in determining what that value is.
Where do you kind of really step in terms of identifying a player and actually signing a player?
As you're going into free agency, our pro staff will have a list of players that they want our coaches to go over, and we'll review all of those players, and then I'll look and say, hey, here's the ranges that I expect these players to come in at. It's also looking at, a lot of times in contract negotiation, it's about supply and demand. So, what other players are out there in free agency, what teams have those needs.
But numbers aren't all Harley deals with. When the team targets a player, he's also there to provide the necessary dose of reality of what making those contractual moves can do, both risk and reward.
Can we make it work, right? So difference between probabilities and possibilities. So possible, can we make it work? Should we? That's a different story. That's a different question. All things that we discuss internally, but being able to paint the picture of, here's where we're at, here's what we can fit in, and if everybody likes this particular player and we want to get this particular player, okay, here's how we can make it work, and here's the consequence of that.
It's an important part of the...
That's good game. That's why I played this interview. I heard this and I said, let me share this with you guys so you can hear from his mouth what he does, right? Now, you heard all the stuff he named. What the hell does Mickey Loomis do? Hold on now, Q. Hold on. Now, I trained Kai. I trained him. Listen, I listen. If you want to know it, I'm known as King Kai. He's just Kai. Let me tell you something, Mickey. What the hell do you do, Mickey? Hold on now, Q. I will tell you something, man. I'm listen. You don't need to know what I do. Let me tell you something, man. What does Mickey Loomis do? That's an interesting question that he posed at the end of that interview, and I've got a little bit more I'm gonna share with you. But what's really interesting is the fact that he said, should we go after this player or not? Now, this is an interesting circumstance because currently the Saints are just about around $30 million over the cap. They're in the red by about $30 million, right? Now you're looking at Derek Carr at north of $35 million is the number that the insiders are saying. North of $35 million. Would that be a smart? Now he says that's a whole nother discussion, is can we versus should we? And here's the repercussions of doing something this foolish. Well, the reality is Mickey Loomis should be taking that in consideration, because you looking at Dennis Allen as a one. If he doesn't win this year, it's over with. So do you really want to tie yourself to a quarterback with the head coach could possibly be gone, and you're stuck with a guy you're playing north of $35 million a season for the next 3 to 4 seasons? I mean, is that something that you really want to do? But see, Kai Harley's is just an assistant general manager to a degree. He's a guy underneath Mickey Loomis's guy underneath him, and Mickey's the boss. So Mickey should be like looking at whether or not that should be something we should be looking at. Or should looking at staying or keeping who we have, because Carr at north of $35 million versus Jameis Winston, at $15 million? And I understand it, it's just strange how this goes, but some kind of way the general manager is supposed to have a grander vision of the team to a degree than the head coach, being that he's his boss. It's strange, man.
Process. While making present-day figures work, there's a future component that must be addressed. Harley and the Saints know that their approach to the cap is not for everyone. and there will always be critics. But at the end of it all, if it helps winning, that's all that really matters.
That's one of the things I love about being here is that winning always takes precedent, and all of the moves that we make as a collective are all under the presumption that it's going to help us win.
Harley's rise to one of the league's top capmen began over 20 years ago with an accounting degree from Rutgers University, to Bloomberg as a financial analyst, but it wasn't a fit, so he went the sports route. His first stop led him to Springfield to get his master's in sports management. Next came an internship with the Indianapolis Colts, then another with the Eagles. Then he worked in player personnel at the league office before catching on with the Saints in 2008 and has been here in New Orleans ever since. Harley has been Loomis's right-hand man for 15 seasons, and he loves it here, and he's earned a lot from Loomis. And many believe it's only a matter of time before Harley himself becomes a GM somewhere, someday, which is his ultimate goal.
When I got into the business, I said I wanted to be able to run a club at some point, and I think that's still the case. So at some point in my career, I would love to be able to run an organization, and yet I'm very happy with the people I work with here and the environment I'm in, and continue to push forward.
No, Harley didn't speak.
So there you go. That's the interview, and you heard with Kai Harley's goal. You heard it out of his own mouth, one day to run the team. Now, we had Mickey Loomis for 20-something years, man. It's time for you to go, Mickey Loomis. This dude is pretty much doing what you're doing right now. There's no need to keep you at your position. Just move on the side with, create a position, be the guy that goes and wipe down the goalposts or wash the windows from the inside, whatever. Go make sure the rental cars are clean. I don't care what you do, but you need to get out the way and yield for a younger person with a vision. Because he's pretty much doing what you're doing. What are you doing? That's the big question. After I heard him say all that, like, okay, I hear him doing all that. Mickey, what do you do? Oh, I do the same thing. It don't take two people to do the thing. He seemed like he know what he's doing. He don't need your help. You trained him. Now move out of the way and let him take the reins of the team. And see, that's the thing. His goal was to run a team. Now remember, Fontenot tried to take him when he took the Atlanta position. Fontenot tried to get Kai Harley to follow him there, but the Saints kept him here. So they might have said to him, listen, we're going to give you an opportunity sooner or later. Well, the time is now, Mickey Loomis. The time is now. And if the goal is to win, you're failing. Let me say it again. If the goal is to win with these moves, you are failing. You are failing miserably. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. So I just wanted to kind of drop this interview because we don't hear from Kai Harley. This is really a shout out to Sean Fazan for doing this one, him and Fox 8 here in New Orleans, for doing this interview with Kai Harley, because a lot of people know of Kai Harley, but he doesn't have too many interviews. And when he talks, and this was a really good one because it kind of introduced you to some of the stuff that we really know, and we're thinking about some of the duties that they might share, but a lot of it he's doing pretty much on his own. So, I mean, he's ready, man. This guy's ready to be a general manager. You heard how he sound. He's ready in what he does. He's ready to be a general manager. When do the Saints get rid of Mickey Loomis? It's the same thing with the Saints. They can't seem to get rid of these people, man, when the time is. They did the same thing with Sean Payton, Drew Brees. These people do not have an alarm clock. They don't have a clock in their head to tell them, listen, it's time for us to move into the future. We need younger, fresh leadership with a better vision. You had your spills, you had your run. Now it's time for you to move out the way and let this other guy get a shot at it. Anyway, that'll do it for the show, fam. Let's do a quick recap. We covered Kai Harley, so that was really insightful to listen to what he had to say. We also talked about the Saints meeting with Carr. They really want Carr, and Carr kind of playing hard to get because, he wants another team to leverage against the Saints so he can kind of get more money or whatever else he's searching. So that's what this insider dropped on us about it. Fowler, we played this interview. We also covered what Mickey Loomis said at the Combine, and we also talked about what happened with the NFL report card. So with that being said, that's going to be the end. What does Mickey Loomis do? If Kai Harley, you listen to that interview, family, what does Mickey Loomis do? If Kai Harley's doing that, what is Mickey Loomis running around here doing? Huh? What is he doing? I mean, it's just one of the things, I just want to know, Mickey, what do you do? What are you doing if he's doing all that? Yeah, because Don saying I know Kai ain't 100% on board with the car. You heard it in this interview. You talk about when you listen to how they talk. You talk about we can do it, but should we do it? See, that's what I'm talking about. Because if you say we can do it, anything is possible, but should we do it? Should we do it because we can do it? And what are the ramifications if we do this? What would it look like on the back end? How would this hamstring our team? And that's something that they're not looking at. And I'm saying you should be looking at that just in case you fire Dennis Allen next year. You'll be stuck with a quarterback that he picked for the next 3 years or whatever the length of the contract is. What is the next coach supposed to do when Dennis Allen gets fired? Is he supposed to win with Derek Carr? What if he wants his own quarterback? Would you be able to trade Carr? With that, perhaps when Carr signs with the Saints, they're desperate and he'll throw in a no trade clause just like he did with the Raiders, where you can't trade him anywhere to a team that he won't. Who's going to take him? And then depending on how the contract is written, will it be an escalating contract or a de-escalating contract? Does the contract get richer and richer as for its length as he get older and older? See, this is the type of stuff we ask, and I know Kai is a smart dude, but most of the times that's up to the general manager to tell the coach, listen, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do it. Listen, I know you want this guy, but this guy is too expensive. Okay? This guy is too expensive. We got to look for somebody else. It's like, nah, we come down off this. We can get whoever we want. No, there's problems. It's a problem. You can't, you can't listen, family. The Saints cannot afford a $35 million or north of $35 million quarterback. Even if you kick in the can, you can have 6 legs and kicking a ton of cans down the road. At the end of the day, you're going to eventually have to get to that position where you kick them damn cans at in the future, and you're going to have to pick them up. You're just creating extra problems for yourself and hamstringing your team well into the future because you're trying to win now with a desperate coach. That's no way to think. And the Saints simply make it Loomis's job to tell him whether this guy's too expensive and versus finding a cheaper option or perhaps sticking with the guy you got. What's wrong with the dude you got for $15 million and he got 1 year left on the contract? If you do it right, you get your quarterback in the draft. This can end up being a good situation, but they can't seem to this Dennis Allen guy. He makes a ton of bad decisions all the time, and the people that have to end up paying for him at the end of the day will be you. While he runs up under Sean Payton's skirt and runs up under, and him and Pete Carmichael run up under Sean Payton's skirt at the end of the day when he gets canned. It's ridiculous. But at the end of the day, this is the end of the day, and it's the end of the show. So with that being said, what's up? What's up, True Hurt? Shout out to you, fam. Appreciate you being in the stream. Much love, fam. Look, good time seeing you, bro. Been a while. What's up, KK? Shout out to you, baby. Shout out to you. Yeah, I know Slim say he collecting them checks. That's what Mickey Loomis is doing. Listen, move Mickey into a position where he's not impacting. Maybe he can act as an advisor because my God, these people like holding on to dead weight. We done gave Mickey Loomis, made him a wealthy person. You done trained this brother on the screen. Get out of the way and let him run the team. You obviously don't have it anymore. And you were with Sean Payton in the era, but obviously a lot of what was happening with the Saints' success was Sean Payton. A lot of it was. It was Sean Payton doing all of that stuff. And Mickey Loomis was a guy that just simply did whatever Sean Payton said. He didn't say, Sean, we can't afford the guy. He tried to do it, regardless of whatever it was. And you can do that with Sean Payton because he got a recipe in a resume of success. But Dennis Allen doesn't have such a resume. You can't treat these people the same. You can't treat these people the same because they are they're cut from a different cloth. You got guys with different resumes. You got guys with more experience. They know what they're doing. You give those guys a little bit more leeway than you got the guy that don't know what he's doing that was failing at that job for years. You don't treat him like the guy that got 100 wins as a head coach. You got 20 wins, you got 15 wins or whatever it is as a head coach. This other guy got 120 or 150 wins as a head coach. You going to treat him the same? Hell no, you're not. This other guy got a resume for success. He knows what he's doing at a high level. This other guy don't know what he's doing. Very simple. So if you get fired in next season, you're going to stay stuck with that $30+ million contract. That kind of sours things for if you're trying to get a really good coach to come in here. He might not be excited about the fact that he has to force this guy to be his quarterback. I'm just saying, man, it's a lot of stuff that you got to take into account for. And we're going to see, man, how it all circulates. But then it's Mickey Loomis. My goodness, Mickey. My goodness. Anyway, with that being said, we're going to get ready to get on that. Yeah, I know Tasman says draft the QB. Hopefully they will, man. Maybe in the second round, perhaps. A lot of people saying Hendon Hooker. They reunified in thought on Hendon Hooker. A lot of the Who-Dats love Hendon Hooker. I think it would be a good opportunity to get that brother. He should be available in the second round. Well, we shall see. We shall see. So with that being said, let me get out on that, man. I'd like to thank you guys for joining the stream tonight. Please feel free to hit the like button. If you hadn't already, hit the like button. Smash upon it. Also, feel free to check out the Pro Shop links in the description section below. Also, feel free to share the show's links on your social media feed. Shout out to Taylor M. hitting that subscribe button. KT, appreciate you. And our family members. And listen, fam, we'll be back later on, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday. We'll do something. I'll try to open up the phone lines. What's up, Josh? Shout out to you, bro. Arvin, what's up, fam? Appreciate you. Luke, shout out to you, my friend. Good to see you. Saints for life. Much love. He said the Saints are going to have to front load the Carr deal. Otherwise, stuck with another bad contract that you can't trade. And Kai knows it. But Mickey Loomis saying, oh, when we just going to do what he says? Because they desperate. It's not good to operate from a position of desperation. It's always a bad look. You always have to look at your options. Some stuff just too expensive. You got to find an option if you want it or wait for the sale. That's how I've always been taught. My goodness, man, you going to pay that. Why are you paying that much for that house right now, man? Once you wait for just be patient, stack your money, until the interest rates come down, man. Why are you trying to, I got to have it, Q. No, man, just chill, man. Where your damn patience at? Anyway, we're going to get out on that, man. I appreciate y'all, man, for stopping by, man. I'm going to holler at y'all on the flip side, man. Who that? And I'm out.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, fucking like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. So check out the Pro Shop and Who That too.
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, and even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your